Hey, what's up guys? Joe here, coming at you today from Town Hall 10 with a little bit of a fun video. Went to Twitter and asked you guys what you thought would be the most effective war composition with the addition of the bomb towers. And surprisingly, the GoVa and the mass bowlers came in very close, 2% difference, and so I decided to roll with those. And then to make things a little bit more interesting, I asked you what would be a more reasonable hero level range that you would like to see. And unfortunately, the levels 21 to 30 ended up coming in first, so then I just decided to roll with a level 25 set of heroes. And this video is based off of a meta that was heavy ground prior to the October update and the addition of the bomb tower. So I kind of wanted to see what would be still more effective, but I also wanted to have your guys' input on this video as well. So we're going to have a little bit of a face-off with the bowlers and the Valkyries. And with that also being said, we're not going to do any heavy detailed planning. We're not going to do much on queen walks, and we're also not going to do any anti 3-star layouts. We picked a couple of bases where it's mostly anti 2-star layout, trophy based type bases, and a little bit of fun. That way we can do basically a mass attack and have fun with the attack, and we'll kind of base the winner off of percentage and see if you guys were kind of accurate on Twitter on what you thought would be the most effective. And what we got going on in the background right now is actually mass miners, and kind of the reason why they weren't selected or highly voted on Twitter, because of the changes in the bug fixes in them. Keeps them above ground longer and affects the targeting with the defenses, because kind of made them a little bit ineffective, and a lot of folks are kind of scared to use them, including myself. So let's go ahead and get into the Valkyries and see what they can do on this anti-2 base centralized town hall. Golems, Valkyries, mass group of Valkyries, in the hopes that they can sweep this base or sweep the higher damage per second dealing structures pretty quick. Drop the Golems, get the wall breakers down using the wizards for funneling purposes along with the Archer Queen. Remember, I'm working with level 25 heroes, so we got to keep an eye on those a little bit closer than what we normally would if we had higher levels. We do have the bomb towers on the base, and they're in close to the core. That way they can cause a little bit extra damage. And in addition of the clan castle, the only thing about the Valkyries that kind of give you a hard time is the fact that they do get ahead of the golems very fast. They move very quick, and this raid seems to get tended to or over with very fast. The couple of bombs in the inner compartments that kind of slow the Valkyries down due to the fact that the golems aren't able to get in front of them and take those out prior to the Valkyries getting there. So I couldn't get really deep with the golems without the additional help of the Valkyrie, but the Valkyrie tends to rush in and get tended to pretty quick with the double giant bomb locations in those two inner compartments. But we did end up getting the 2-star on this base, and we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what the bowlers can do. So we start out with the 4 to 5 bowlers in the south with 3 healers, and then 4 to 5 bowlers in the north with 3 healers. And they start working their way in and setting up the funnel just like we did with the previous attack with the wizards. So we're going to let the bowlers work for a few seconds and set up the funnel on the outer perimeter. That way we can get the mass of them to go to the core of the base. Bowlers caught a slight nerf a couple of weeks ago during the update, so kind of want to see what they can do in groups like they were doing before with the addition of the bomb tower. Get the giants down for tanking purposes, even though the bowlers get ahead of them a little bit. Barbarian King kind of rushes in like he normally does, and we have to use his ability very quickly to take out the traps and the Archer Queen that was sitting there in that compartment. Inferno Tower goes down, drops a jump in order to progress the bowlers, as well as a rage to get their strength up, so that way they can kind of power through these higher damage per second dealing defenses. And the Archer Queen's kind of hanging back like she needs to and assisting with taking out some structures while the bowlers work. Bowlers kind of split off, part off a little bit, but they kind of get back together in that one compartment with the Archer Queen, with a couple of healers still there assisting them to get through the base. This base didn't really have a lot of air traps to affect the healers as much, so that could be a contributing factor here for the development of this attack. And at this point, we're at 73%, and everything's kind of looking good because the healers have transferred over to the Archer Queen, so it's kind of become an unofficial queen walk on the inside of the base. And this is kind of the way these raids were going previous to the update, where the healers were kind of surviving. Even though they're getting hit by scattered air mines, the Queen is actually still going. Level 25 Queen is still going. We got a couple of bowlers on the outer perimeter of the base, still taking out structures on the outsides. and it's starting to look pretty good for the bowlers. The only difference between the bowlers and the Valkyries is they have an advantage with the fact that they can do a double bounce with the boulder and take out structures that are farther ahead. You know, they're targeting one structure, but they're actually taking out two in some cases, so it depends on their pathing. And they're also stationary for a moment, and they're not rushing throughout the base like the Valkyrie does. The Valkyrie kind of runs through and target structures, but she's getting hit by all the traps in the process, so she's quickly losing health as the raid goes on. So it kind of depends on the base design and where they go, the pathing, and so on and so forth. But in this raid right here on this particular base, the bowlers actually did very well. But let's not give up on the Valkyries. Let's go ahead and take a look at round 2. So in this composition, we actually bring baby dragons for the outer perimeter funneling, and then we're going to do the same concept. I bring a heal spell this time around in order to hopefully assist those Valkyries to stay alive a little bit longer, and get the golems down, drop some wizards for inner funneling, as well as the archer queen, and then crack open this compartment, drop my poisons, and we're going to let those wizards work on the clan castle troops first. Poisons are down, drop the jump spell, and then I also drop the mass group of Valkyries, dropping a freeze on the Inferno Tower, the Tesla location, as well as the bomb tower. And we're going to let those Valkyries get in there, drop a rage to kind of get them boosted up a little bit, and then we're going to freeze the other side of the compartment, as well as dropping a heal spell to get the health up on those Valkyries before they hit the bombs from the bomb tower. But the Valkyries get distracted, and they go after that Barbarian King on the outside of the base instead of finishing up that inner compartment with the Expo and the Tesla. So Valkyries are on the outsides of the base going in and taking out structures. On the outsides, the Archer Queen's over in the west still working with the Barbarian King and a couple of Valkyries. Valkyries get a little detoured and they go back into that inner compartment to take on the Expo and the Tesla, but have to have the assistance of the Archer Queen. And we get to about 63%, I believe, before this raid lulls out. So we're going to let that queen work for percentage at this point, and she gets that 63% and then dies immediately. So we're going to move right on into the bowlers. Same base as before as the Valkyries, and we're going to use the bowlers in the same fashion with setting up the outer funnel and letting them work their way in. 4 to 5 bowlers, 3 to 4 bowlers, and then 3 healers on each of them, and letting them work. Get our giants down to start tanking along with our heroes, and then drop the wall breakers to crack open that compartment with the rest of the mass bulk of bowlers. Drop a jump spell and then our 2 poisons, and we're going to let them work for a moment. Getting a freeze spell on that Inferno Tower and bomb location. That way the bowlers can get in. They're under rage right now, and they start taking out structures very quickly. We're at 30% right now. Bowlers kind of split off for a second, so we freeze that other Inferno Tower, and we have a handful of bowlers that have worked their way into the core. Barbarian King's in rage right now, taking out structures, and the bowlers continue to work. But they're getting taken out pretty quick. We're at 56%. Archer Queen's over in the northeast working on structures up in the north. Barbarian King is down at this point, and the bowlers have no healers on them whatsoever, so they're getting picked off by the point defenses fairly quick, as well as that Archer Queen. So this attack will lull out at about 69 or 70%. So kind of looks like the Valkyries and the bowlers are pretty much equally matched on the ground at Town Hall 10 with no planning and just kind of bum rushing the base. And I think you guys kind of nailed it with the percentage as well, even though the bowlers kind of beat out the Valkyries. But either way, both of them still did a really good job on these bases, at least getting the 2-star on 0 planning and no queen walks and not doing anything special. Just getting in there, getting the Town Hall, and getting the percentage that we needed in order to get the 2-star on the Town Hall 10. So drop some comments below and let me know what you think is the best and what we should have tried if you have those ideas as well. And thanks for watching, guys.